Ever wonder why some men stick in a woman's mind like a fire that won't go out, while others vanish from memory like dust in the wind? It's not luck, it's not looks, and it damn sure isn't sweet talk. It's presence, a rare energy, a calm, unshakable gravity that follows him, even in silence. He could walk in a room and say nothing, yet every eye turns, not because he's loud, but because he's there, solid, grounded, certain. He doesn't need to chase. He doesn't need to explain. He doesn't ask to be chosen. He chooses, and when he's gone, oh, you feel that emptiness. That absence burns deeper than presence ever could. That's the invisible mark, a fingerprint on the soul, a whisper that echoes louder than a shout. She can laugh with another man, but in the quiet of night, she hears your silence. You didn't beg, you didn't plead. You just lived, with power, with purpose, with poise. Because a man like you, you're not desperate for attention. You're not craving validation. You're not trying to prove you're worthy of her. You know your worth. And that knowing, that unshakable belief, it etches itself into her memory like a brand. Even if she walks away, she carries you with her. Not because you forced yourself into her life, but because you were the one thing she couldn't figure out. You gave peace instead of pressure, silence instead of noise, depth instead of drama. And now, you're not just a man. You're a feeling. You're a standard. The kind she can't forget. The kind she'll compare every man to after you. Why? Because you didn't just touch her body, you touched her soul. Without trying, without begging, without chasing. That is the power of detachment. That is the first step to becoming unforgettable. So I ask you, are you just another man she'll forget tomorrow? Or the one who leaves a storm in her spirit forever? Let me tell you a hard truth, brother. Chasing her is the fastest way to lose her. And yet, it's what most men are taught to do. Show her you care. Win her heart. Go the extra mile. Sounds noble, doesn't it? But here's the thing. The more you chase, the faster she runs. Not because she hates attention, but because she can feel when a man has lost himself. She sees a man working overtime to earn her approval. And deep down, she knows. He's forgotten who he is. He's placing her on a throne. He's crowning her as his reward. And in doing that, he kills the mystery. He crushes the spark. Women don't want to be your everything. They want to be a part of your kingdom. Not the reason you abandon your throne. You think chasing proves love? No, brother. It proves emptiness. It screams, I need you to feel whole. And that repels her on a level she can't even explain. It's instinctual, biological. She doesn't want a boy trying to impress her. She wants a man who impresses himself. That's why the ones who haunt her the most aren't the guys who gave her flowers every week, but the ones who walked with purpose, who made her feel lucky just to be in their orbit. So here's the shift. Stop trying to get picked. Start building a life so rich. She can't help but want to be part of it. Your mission isn't to chase her. It's to attract her by being rooted in who you are. Let your life pull her in, not your fear push her away. And here's where it gets even deeper. What if your absence says more than your presence ever could? Why mystery makes her obsessed? Now listen closely, because this is where most men miss the mark. They think presence means power, that the more they're around, the more she'll feel something. But the truth? It's in your absence, where her emotions begin to stir. Think about it. When you're always there, texting, calling, checking in, chasing, she doesn't feel you anymore. You're just background noise. But the moment you go quiet, the moment your energy fades from her world, something shifts. She starts wondering, where is he? Why isn't he calling? Did I lose him? That space you create, it becomes an echo, an imprint, one that rings louder than words, because absence triggers reflection. It forces her to confront your value, not through what you say, but through what she feels when you're no longer there. Now let's be clear. This isn't a game. This isn't about manipulation. It's about living a full life that doesn't orbit around her. When you're focused on your path, your growth, your vision, your purpose, you naturally create absence. And in that absence, you become a mystery. And mystery? It's magnetic. It wakes up her imagination. It makes her wonder who you are, what you're doing, and why she doesn't have all of you. That mystery plants a seed of obsession. She doesn't crave men who give it all up front. She craves the ones who leave pieces unexplained, the ones who can disappear without warning, because those are the ones she never forgets. Now here's the kicker. You don't create mystery by trying to be mysterious. You create it by being consumed with your own journey. The man on a mission. Why purpose makes her obsess. All right, now listen to this closely. Because it may just flip everything you thought you knew about women, about desire, about what makes them haunted by a man long after he's gone. You want to know the kind of man that leaves a mark deep in her soul? It's the man with a mission, not a man who's perfect, not the richest guy in the room, not the smoothest talker with lines and charm, but the man who is locked in on something bigger than her, bigger than himself, something that pulls him out of bed with fire in his chest. This man, he doesn't chase, he doesn't need to impress, because he's already impressed himself. You see, when a woman meets a man who's walking his path with boldness and direction, she can feel it. There's a different energy in his eyes. There's no neediness, no thirst, no fear. And guess what? That's the kind of man who gets burned into her memory. Because he's not begging to be part of her life. He invites her into his. And if she accepts, good. If she doesn't, he keeps walking. Because his purpose doesn't stop for anyone. This is the truth that nobody teaches men. Women don't want to be your purpose. They want to witness it, to feel it, to be around it, because it inspires them. It moves them. It makes them want to be worthy of your attention, not the other way around. And when you live this way, you don't even have to say a word. Your energy speaks. Your focus, your discipline, your calm presence, it imprints her. You become the one she compares every man to, the one she remembers in quiet moments, the one she dreams about when she's alone. So ask yourself right now, are you a man with a mission, or are you just reacting to life? Because on the next chapter, we'll unlock something even deeper. Why being rare is the secret to being unforgettable. Let's go. The rare man. How scarcity burns your memory into her mind. Have you ever noticed something strange? The things we can't have, or the ones who seem just out of reach, are the ones we think about the most. Why is that? It's because of one powerful truth. What is rare becomes valuable. What is common, it fades away. Now, let's apply that to you, to who you are, to how you show up with women. Most guys, they're always available, always texting, always calling, always showing up even when they weren't invited. They think that being constant means they'll be loved more. They think being always around will make her choose them. But that's not how her mind works. You want to leave a mark on her soul? Then become the rare man, the one who's not always reachable, the one who prioritizes himself so deeply it creates mystery, space, longing. And here's the catch. It's not about pretending. It's not about playing games or faking distance. It's about actually being busy building your life, busy growing, training, creating, working, healing. Your absence, it has to be real, not because you're trying to trigger her, but because you're out there doing things that matter to you. And you know what that creates? A psychological imprint. She starts asking, where is he? What's he doing? Why do I keep thinking about him? That's the power of scarcity. That's the power of becoming a man who doesn't need to chase, because he has purpose pulling him forward. Think of diamonds. They're not handed out on every street corner. They're hidden deep in the earth. Hard to find. Valuable because they're rare. And if you can live like that, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you've genuinely chosen yourself first, she won't be able to stop thinking about you. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. But we're not done yet. The man who can't be shaken. Mastering your emotions. Here's the next secret. And it's what separates boys from men. She can't stop thinking about the man she can't control. And the man she can't control is the one who controls himself. Let that sink in. We live in a world where most men are emotional wrecks, triggered by a single text, panicking when she takes hours to reply, falling apart when she's cold or distant. That's not strength, that's emotional slavery. And women, they can feel it. They can smell emotional neediness like blood in the water. But the man who can stay calm, grounded, unmoved, even when she's testing him, even when she's hot one day and cold the next, that man is dangerous in the best way, because she can't throw him off. He doesn't beg. He doesn't react. He doesn't crumble. He observes. He breathes. He pauses. And he responds with power, not panic. That's what emotional mastery looks like. Not hiding your feelings, but ruling over them like a king. And here's the wild part. The more she feels you can't be controlled by emotion, the more she wants to pull you closer. Because in you, she sees something rare, a center of gravity, a man she can trust not to fall apart under pressure. You become her emotional rock. Not because you're cold, but because you're calm. You become the man who doesn't chase peace in her. The silent power of real confidence. Now, let's talk about the part of you she remembers forever. It's not your car. It's not your clothes. It's not your job. It's your energy. That quiet, unwavering, grounded presence that says, I don't need you, but I see you. And if you're in my life, it's because you earned it. That's confidence. Not the fake kind you flash online. Not the kind built on showing off. But the kind that doesn't need to be shown. It's real. It's rare. and it's unforgettable. You see, most men try to impress. They chase likes, compliments, attention. They fish for approval from women, hoping to feel enough. But the men she can't forget, they already know they're enough. With or without her, they approve of themselves. They trust their own choices. They don't shrink when challenged. And they don't bend just to keep her around. That kind of confidence creates a psychological imprint she can't shake. Why? Because it tells her one thing loud and clear. If you want to be part of my world, bring value. Not desperation, not drama, not games. Real confidence doesn't chase. It attracts. And when you live with this level of power, women feel it. They feel it in the way you stand, the way you speak, the way you look them in the eye without flinching. It's the kind of presence that lingers. Even after the conversation ends, even after months of silence, that man doesn't beg to be remembered. He is remembered. But there's one more level even deeper, one that leaves a scar, not from pain, but from purpose. And that's what we dive into next. Purpose, the invisible force that makes you unforgettable. Here's a truth that hits different. The most unforgettable man is the one who doesn't stop his mission for anyone. Not for her, not for attention, not for validation. He lives for something bigger, and that's what haunts her long after he's gone. Not because he left her, but because he left her wondering. What kind of man walks away from me without flinching? Answer: a man with purpose. Let's break this down. When a man lacks purpose, he grabs for a woman to fill the hole inside him. He makes her his everything. He gives and gives, hoping she'll stay. He waits by the phone. He cancels plans. He orbits around her. And what happens? She pulls away. Not because she's cruel, but because she feels what he doesn't want to admit. He's lost. And she doesn't want to follow a man with no direction, but the man who's locked in on his vision, who has goals, dreams, and discipline. He becomes magnetic. He doesn't chase love. He builds something worth sharing and invites the right woman into it. He doesn't need her. And that's exactly why she wants to be part of his life. His absence doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like a reminder. This man is building something. And if she's lucky enough to be close to him, she gets to witness it, support it, be part of something meaningful. But if she plays games, if she tests or tries to distract him, he doesn't argue, he doesn't beg, he simply returns to his path. That's how you imprint her mind, with purpose, with direction, with a life so full. She can't help but feel the emptiness when you're gone. And if she ever comes back, it's not because you tried to impress her. It's because you stayed true to something far more important, your mission. And when a woman sees a man committed to something beyond her, she wonders, does he even have space for me? And that mystery, that unknown, it burns in her. The peaceful storm. Mastering emotional discipline. Let me ask you a serious question. What's more powerful than rage? What's more dangerous than desperation? What scares her more than your silence? A man who has tamed the storm inside. That man is rare. That man is powerful. That man is unforgettable. Because most men, they get triggered. They explode. They spiral. They send 10 messages when she doesn't reply. But a man with emotional discipline, he doesn't react. he responds. And sometimes he doesn't respond at all. Not to punish, not to pull back, but because he refuses to let emotions rule him. She sends a confusing message. He reads it once, then moves on. She withdraws affection. He doesn't panic. He notices, adjusts, and continues his life untouched. Because here's the truth. A man who can't control his emotions becomes her emotional slave, and she will never respect a man she can control. You want to haunt her? Don't yell. Don't explain. Don't argue. Be still. Be calm. Be solid. When the chaos comes, because it will come, and she pushes to test your limits, and she tries to provoke that reaction out of you, you stand firm like a mountain. You don't chase. You don't collapse. You don't lose your cool. That calm silence, it gets loud in her mind. It forces her to reflect. It forces her to question. Why didn't he react? Why does he feel so far away? Is he over me? That quiet control, that peaceful dominance, is what separates the rare from the weak, because emotional chaos is her battlefield. And when you refuse to fight there, you win, not by force, not by games, but by mastery. Coming next, we dive into the core of real, lasting power, true confidence, where it comes from, why most men fake it, and how you can build the kind that she never forgets. The final mark, confidence that stays in her mind. Here's what most men don't understand. Confidence isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's not flexing cars, watches, or muscles. It's the quiet knowing that you are enough, that you don't have to chase, that you bring value by just existing. That kind of confidence, it leaves a mark. You walk into a room and you don't need to prove anything. You speak less, but people lean in more. You don't need her validation because you've already validated yourself. And that is unforgettable. Why? Because most men try too hard. They seek approval. They want to be liked. They become performers in their own lives, hoping she claps at the end. But the man she can't forget, he's the one who isn't performing. He's living. He doesn't try to be attractive. He builds a life that is attractive. He doesn't need her to like him. He knows who he is and where he's going. This is where it all comes together. Detachment gives you power. Absence creates space for desire. Purpose gives your life direction. Emotional control gives you peace, and confidence ties it all into a force that stays with her. This is how you leave a psychological imprint, not through manipulation, not through mind games, but by mastering yourself so deeply that when you leave the room, your presence stays. She won't remember what you said. She won't even remember what you did, but she will never forget how you made her feel. Not because you gave her butterflies, but because you gave her something rare. A man who didn't need her. A man who chose her, then walked away without fear. That kind of man haunts her forever. Now the question is, will you be that man?